by Sam Bates here again is the St Mungo on the High Street. On the left, Generation Green, commissioned in advance of us hosting the COP26 Climate Change Conference. And in front of us, we'll see it on the left-hand corner, Swimmers and Divers. And this was commissioned to celebrate Glasgow hosting the 2014 Commonwealth Games. And we will see some of the games venues shortly, although next up, we stop at 10 with an Amsterdam Hotel in Hilton Garden Inn. So if anyone would like to stop at 10, away, the rest is not fun. So we come now to the Grimmy Lawn Historic Shipping Area Hotel. And the building that used to be known as the Clyde Auditorium, this kind of shell-like building here. I'll come back to that in a moment, as looks like there's a couple of people tweaking that tree down. Yeah, that's our Millennium. Oh no, that's the Bells Bridge. No, I've got that wrong. Sorry. Our Millennium Bridge is the next one down. Yeah, so back to the Clyde Auditorium. That building was designed by Sir Robert Foster, and the idea was it should reflect our maritime heritage. It's supposed to look like it's one of the boathouse. A lot of people who visit Glasgow think it's said it was like a Sydney Opera House. Yeah, I can see that. Although we came up with our own nickname for it, which was the Armadillo. That's what everybody started calling it. Also, quite to point out the rotundas here. Straight in front of us, there's a round brick building, and there's another one on the other side of the Clyde Arc. And they used to provide access to a couple of tunnels, and the older tunnels fell into disuse and they were closed off to the public ultimately in the 1980s. I think it's a bit of a shame, but anyway. Clyde side distillery, so we'll be able to wave and talk to Clyde We're past under a pedestrian tunnel here that links the events campus to the railway station. Blazoned with our unofficial motto, keep open Glasgow. Official motto is to the left. There is the Armadillo entrance here. Now here we also have the oldest part of the events campus, the SEC Centre, which opened in 1985. The complex built on Green Lake flag. This used to be the Queen's Dock of Glasgow, 360 degrees. The whole structure could turn. The idea is it turns to face into the wind, and clever aerodynamics stop it from shaking about. It's a viewing platform. What their world's other purposes. Now, I should have added, in theory, it's the tallest building in the world that can turn 360 degrees. When it was first built in the early aughts, this is more similar to the Millennium Bridge story. They actually used the wrong size of ball bearings when they installed it, and it seized up. Now, they have replaced them, but it only works intermittently. It's less than 50% of the time since it opened, but it's outside the museum. That large grey structure. To the left of it is the tall ship, the Glen Lee, a little cargo vessel. To the left of that is a swing bridge that's in construction. And then up in the distance was what looks like a black pyramid in the sky. And that's the bridge tower of HMS Cardiff, the newest ship to be built in 2025. Sister ship of HMS Glasgow. It's doing sea trials just now. Next stop we're about to is stop number 12. Museum and the tall ship. Anyone would like off the software, give me a lead. Yep. This is always a bob roll on there. Riverside Museum of Art was named the European Museum of the Year in 2013. And a Hollywood location down there to the left, that overgrown patch of land is the Government Grieving Docks. And if you've seen the Sam Mendes movie 1917, remember the scene where we kind of cross over the river into this French town. The shop down there.
1870 when this beautiful building was built. And the small building you see in front of it with the gates is Pierce Lodge. This was part of the original university. It was built in 1678, but when the university moved up here, they wanted to bring it with them. So they dismantled it brick by brick, brought it back up here and rebuilt it. The university, as you can see, that was built in 1870 and it was designed by the architect James Robb. The Hunterian Museum is inside that. It's closed today, but anybody that likes to know about science and medical things, that's where you can go in and visit in there. But you also can go in and walk about the gardens and the cloisters. So stop 14 is just ahead for anyone that is getting off. Le prochain? Non. Ah oui, ici. Je suis désolée. Apologies for now having my back to you, but it's just a wee bit uncomfortable turning around all the time. So anyway, directly in front of it's just, I think after a few hours the bar staff got a bit scared and they served them their drinks, so they were the first women to be served, and every manager in that pub since then has been a female. So there you go, it took a long time, but so we're now on Byers Road and you'll see all the vintage and retro. You can see that this is very much a studenty area. So Byers is a Scottish slang word for cowshed or a pig places, and there's a restaurant and things, so that's nice for a little walk up to that. So as we come ahead here, you'll see on the left hand side all the expansion of the university. The Western General Hospital is where the first commercial ultrasound was testicles on ships to listen into hulls and various things. But a Glasgow doctor and a Glasgow engineer invented ultrasound for humans, and that's what led to the ultrasounds that ladies get now when they're having babies. Initially it was just towards the end of the pregnancy, but they then developed it so much that they could do it all the way through the pregnancy. So that's another thing that was achieved here in Scotland. University, if you like architecture, you'll see it up in the hills to be based before they moved it to its current position. And this is where the Christmas Carnival would be held every year, but it's now a training venue for elite athletes. So stop 16 coming up for the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery. Hold on tight. Remember and count the heads, you might be there all day though. We're moving again. Do you want to say hello to everyone? We've got a shy tour guide. He's desperate to help, but he's too shy. So we'll be coming to stop 17 next, and that will be for the Finniston area, the Oxenfringe restaurant, and also if you get to that area, if you go one street down, you get a lot of Scottish bars, the Park Bar, the Islay Bar, where a lot of your Highlanders and Islanders come down there to drink. So again, you'll get your view of Glasgow University there. The two of them together is a spectacular sight. So we're now on Sucky Hall Street. Sucky Hall Street means the way of the willow, which makes it sound lovely. It's quite a delicate name. However, Sucky Hall Street is also known as the square mile of murder. So this is a street where there was 4 very high profile murders all round about this area. And one of them was, as we mentioned earlier, Dr. Edward Pritchard, who murdered his wife and mother. Another one of the murders which took place here was a young socialite by the name of Madeline Smith. And she had a French lover who was 10 years her senior. And he wasn't in the same stance. So Charles, we will continue to drink, so take your tipsy tower. So stop 19 just here, and if you want to see the hotel, which is just on your left hand side, you can get off here and you can wander up Sucky Hall Street. So the Beresford Hotel, as I say, there it is here. This is where John F. Kennedy made his maiden speech at the age of 22 years old. His father Joseph Kennedy was the ambassador for Great Britain, and there was a terrible tragedy when a ship that was going from Glasgow to Canada was hit by a torpedo launched by a U-boat, and it was one of the things at the start of the Second World War which really, exacerbated the whole situation. Hundreds of people were killed, so the survivors all came back here, and JFK, the young JFK, came and spoke to them to, give them some comfort after the terrible tragedy. So we'll be coming ahead to stop 19 for Macintosh at the Willow Tea Rooms, and again for more of Sucky Hall Street. The form of us, famously late for everything. Inside the bus station, for anybody that's been there, you may have seen the statue of the young couple who are in an embrace. They've obviously just met each other and they're hugging and giving each. So there was a competition to name the statue, and it was called the Winching Stance. So for anybody that doesn't know what winching is, it's a Glasgow term for kissing. So if a Glasgow person comes up and says, "Do you fancy a winch doll?" it means you're rather attractive, can I kiss you? But don't mistake that for a Glasgow kiss, because a Glasgow kiss is actually a headbutt. So if somebody wants to winch you, that's perfectly acceptable. If somebody wants to give you a Glasgow kiss, run for the hills. So soon we'll be coming back to stop 1 at George Square. For those of you that will be leaving us, I hope that you've had a nice trip and maybe learned a wee bit about Glasgow. For anybody that's staying on, I will be continuing around the next loop as well, so you'll be welcome to stay and to join me. So as we come back to George Square, so I'd said at the start of the trip, the first brick was laid in 1781 and it took 20 years to complete. So there's many statues in George, 100, so we were here first. It also has Rabbie Burns, our famous poet, and in the middle of it, as you go down the hill, you'll see it's worth £9 million to make this more pedestrian friendly and make it more environmentally friendly, because they're committing to making a change. So it's all good. So that's us coming back to George Square. So hopefully for those of you that have been here the whole time, I hope that you have enjoyed your tour. I have been Tracy. Well, I am Tracy Malone.
ऐसा लगता है सिर्फ फोटो के लिए बना है।
Well, first things first, hello everyone, welcome back to your City Sightseeing Glasgow bus tour. My name is Heather, I'll be your live tour guide today, our driver today, my main man, John. He's going to be taking us to stop number 2, we're just leaving stop number 1 for George Square. And stop number 2 is for the Glasgow Cathedral, the Necropolis, the Province Lordship and the St Mungo's Museum of Religious Life and Art. We'll be going around 21 different stops around the East End, back into city centre. We'll be going along the Clydeside Shoe, which means Deer Green Place. On your left hand side, this large building is the City of Glasgow College, and in amongst the grass area on your left, you might be able to see a statue of St Mungo himself watching over the city. The City of Glasgow College is the largest college that we have within the city, different from the universities that we have. And an example of one of these universities is on your right hand side now. All of these buildings belong to the University of Strathclyde. Originally it was called the Andersonian Institute, named after John Anderson, its founder, who founded the university in 1798. And the motto for the university is that it is a place of useful learning. Now John Anderson thought that useful subjects were things like maths, science, engineering and medicine. And some people thought that this was John throwing a little bit of shade at the University of Glasgow because it didn't have any arts or culture subjects. I'm a student at the University of Glasgow and I'm not guiding modern surgery. A man called Joseph Lister. This was where he invented the carbolic spray, the first ever antiseptic that was used to fight sepsis. And if anyone has also ever heard of the mouthwash Listerine, that is named after Joseph Lister. It was also at the Royal Infirmary that the trend of doctors wearing white in Mungo's Museum. And this beige coloured house on our right hand side, this is the Province Lordship. It was established in 14.
He's going to the airport, he's telling.
Fijaros allí.
Coming.
Okay, Glasgow Scotland.